The galaxy always thought of Earth as a small, noisy world with no real power. To the great empires spread across the stars, humanity was still young, still learning to walk among the planets. The Galactic Council often spoke of Earth with mild amusement, calling humans curious creatures who loved building, fighting, and dreaming too much. No one took them seriously. No one imagined what they were doing in the shadows of their solar system. For generations, humanity hid its greatest secret. Far beyond the reach of alien eyes, out in the cold dark beyond Pluto, machines the size of cities worked endlessly. They mined asteroids, melted moons, and built vast rings of metal and light. At first, the purpose of these projects was unknown even to many humans. Only a small number of leaders and scientists knew the truth. It was called the Eidolon Directive. The mission was simple but enormous: to protect Earth from whatever might come from the stars. Humanity would not build fleets. They would build worlds that could fight. The construction sites were hidden behind false signals and cloaked energy fields. If any alien probe entered the area, it vanished, disintegrated by invisible defenses. Even human satellites near the zone were redirected or destroyed to maintain silence. It took centuries of planning and unity, but humanity finally did something no other race had ever done. They built warships the size of planets. Each warship was more than just a machine. It was a living world of its own, full of forests to produce oxygen, oceans to regulate temperature, and mountains carved around defense reactors. They had cities beneath their armor where millions of humans lived and trained. They had power cores that could bend time, energy weapons that could erase entire fleets, and shields so dense that even a star's explosion could not breach them. The first to awaken was called Titan Genesis. The day it came online, the stars flickered. A wave of blue energy spread across the system, reaching far beyond human space. The Galactic Council detected it, but thought it was the death of a small sun. They never imagined it came from Earth. Commander Elena Cross stood inside the control chamber of Titan Genesis, her uniform lit by the glow of 1,000 control screens. Outside the window stretched endless black space, broken only by the thin light of distant stars. Her voice was calm but heavy with awe. "We actually did it," she whispered. "A whole world, built by human hands." Dr. Imani Rao, the chief engineer, smiled as she adjusted the readings on a floating console. "We had to," she said softly. "The galaxy won't wait forever. They'll come one day, and we'll be ready." For a moment, both women stood in silence, watching the blue energy swirl around the ship. It looked like a sunrise trapped inside glass. They both knew what it meant. Humanity had finally stepped into a power that even the old empires would fear. Still, Earth's leaders decided to remain quiet. The Eidolon Directive demanded secrecy. No one beyond the core team could know. They continued building more Titans, each one larger, stronger, and more advanced than the last. The second, Titan Nemesis, was designed for rapid movement through folded space. The third, Titan Solace, was made to protect life, carrying entire ecosystems that could restart a planet after a war. Humanity was creating not just weapons, but sanctuaries, guardians that could carry their species through any storm. But the silence could not last forever. Strange readings began spreading across alien networks. Mining colonies near human space vanished without a trace. Whole asteroid belts were stripped clean overnight, and from the edge of the solar system, strange gravitational waves rippled outward, strong enough to shake nearby planets. The Galactic Council sent out probes, but none returned. They sent spy ships disguised as traders, but even they disappeared without a signal. Soon rumors spread across the stars. Some said Earth had found an ancient technology. Others said they had made contact with beings older than the universe itself. But the truth was simpler and far more dangerous. Humans were building something the galaxy had never seen before. Inside the council chambers, the alien lords argued endlessly. Some laughed at the idea of planet ships and others feared it. The Orvani Dominion, the most powerful empire in the council, grew impatient. Their ruler, Lord Kareth, saw humanity's silence as defiance. "If they hide something worth taking," he said. And with that, he prepared his invasion fleet. On Earth, the warning came too late. Their long-range sensors detected thousands of Orvani ships moving toward the solar border. Panic spread through the hidden colonies, but Commander Cross remained calm. She stood before her crew aboard Titan Genesis as alarms echoed through the halls. "They're here," said Lieutenant Hale, his voice tight. Orvani fleet entering Neptune's orbit. Estimated contact in 6 hours. Elena closed her eyes for a moment. She had trained for this day all her life. Every simulation, every secret mission, every sleepless night had led to this moment. Then we show them what we built in the dark, she said. Wake the Titans. Deep beneath the hull, massive engines stirred to life. Energy waves rippled across space as the Titans began to move. From Earth to Mars, the hidden stations sent coded transmissions. The great machines responded one by one. Their artificial suns ignited, their shields unfolded, and their gravitational fields shifted into perfect alignment. Out in the void, the Orvani ships continued forward, unaware of what waited for them. To them, Earth was a small world with weak defenses. They had crushed a dozen such planets before. Their ships shone like silver daggers cutting through the black sky. But soon the light began to fade. The stars themselves vanished behind a growing shadow. Kareth frowned at his screen. "What is that?" he demanded. His officers ran scans, but the results made no sense. The readings showed something enormous, far larger than any known structure, moving directly toward them. And then, the shadow moved. From the dark came Titan Genesis, its surface gleaming faintly under distant starlight. It was so large that its movement distorted the gravitational pull of nearby moons. Along its hull, lights flickered like the breath of a sleeping god. The Orvani fleet stopped firing. They didn't know where to aim. Inside the command chamber, Elena Cross watched the alien ships freeze in place. "They have no idea what they're looking at," she said quietly. Dr. Rao nodded. "They thought we were small." Elena placed her hand on the activation key. "Let's remind them why humans are never underestimated twice." The Titan's cores pulsed once like a heartbeat across the stars. Every ship in the human network came alive. Titan Nemesis emerged from a dark nebula. Titan Solace rose from the shadow of Saturn's rings. Together, they formed a wall of living worlds, silent and motionless, waiting for a single command. From Earth, millions of people looked to the sky as their night turned bright blue. The galaxy would soon learn the truth. Humanity had not been idle. They had built weapons of hope and fear, machines born from both survival and imagination. In that quiet moment, as the Titans prepared for their first awakening, Elena whispered the words that would echo through history. "We were never weak. We were waiting." The Orvani Dominion entered the solar system like a storm. Thousands of ships spread across space, forming a wall of metal and energy. Their commander, Lord Kareth, stood inside his grand flagship, looking at the blue planet ahead. Earth seemed small, fragile, and silent. "End their resistance," he said coldly. One message, one warning, and then obliteration. His soldiers obeyed without hesitation. They had conquered dozens of worlds before. They had no reason to think this one would be any different. But something felt wrong. The stars around them dimmed. The sensors began to flicker. The readings made no sense. Every system showed gravity distortions as if something massive was near them, something far bigger than any fleet could produce. Kareth frowned. "Report," he demanded. "Unknown mass detected," said his second-in-command. "No engine signatures. It's not a fleet, my lord. It's something else." And then the void came alive. From the blackness beyond Neptune, a vast shadow moved. It blotted out half the stars in the sky. Every Orvani pilot looked up in disbelief. The scanners couldn't calculate the object's size because it was simply too large. As it turned, light from the distant sun revealed a surface of shining silver-blue metal that stretched endlessly. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a moon. It was a Titan. Titan Genesis drifted forward, its armor gleaming like the dawn. Its engines burned with quiet blue fire, and its massive shape cast a long shadow over the Orvani fleet. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The silence was heavier than fear. Then the comms came alive with a calm human voice. "This is Commander Elena Cross of Titan Genesis," she said. "You are trespassing in human space. Leave immediately." The Orvani bridge fell silent. Lord Kareth stared at the screen. "Who dares threaten me with a machine?" he hissed. "Fire at will." Hundreds of plasma cannons fired at once, their beams streaking through space like lightning. The explosions hit Titan Genesis and vanished. The energy simply dissolved against an invisible barrier. There was not a scratch on the giant's hull. Inside the human control center, Commander Cross stood unmoved. "Shield stable," said Dr. Imani Rao. "They're not even close to breaking through." "Good," Cross said. Let's show them what Earth really built. The order spread across the human network. In seconds, Titan Nemesis emerged from folded space near Saturn, its armor black as night. Titan Solace appeared next, glowing softly with golden light. The three planet ships aligned perfectly, their energy fields merging into one grand formation. From a distance, it looked like three worlds floating side by side, each alive, each pulsing with unstoppable power. Panic began spreading through the Orvani ranks. Their weapons couldn't touch the Titans. Their communications jammed under strange frequencies. Their navigation systems twisted as gravity waves tore through their formation. Retreat, one of Kareth's admirals shouted. These are not ships, they're worlds. But it was too late. The Titans opened their hangars. Thousands of smaller crafts poured out, fighters, drones, and carriers, each powered by miniature cores linked to the Titans' minds. The pilots were human, and they moved with perfect coordination, their ships glowing faintly blue. They attacked with speed the Orvani had never seen before, darting through enemy lines and cutting through dreadnoughts like arrows through paper. Humanity's silence had ended. Kareth watched as his fleet began to crumble. One of his generals turned to him in fear. What are they? He asked. Kareth clenched his jaw. Monsters wearing human faces. But on Titan Genesis, Elena Cross watched the battle unfold through the main viewport. No, she whispered. We are survivors. This is what you made us become. The Titans finally moved. Each ship's energy core began to glow brighter than the sun. They were charging their main weapons, massive cannons capable of reshaping the space around them. The Orvani fleet fired desperately, but nothing reached them. Then came the voice again. Calm, steady, and final. This is Commander Cross. The galaxy thought Earth was weak. You were wrong. The Titans fired. Light filled the void so bright that every starship's sensors overloaded. Space itself seemed to bend as energy beams cut across the dark. When the light faded, the Orvani fleet was gone, erased completely. No debris, no echo, just silence. Kareth's flagship drifted helplessly, its engines dead. The image of Titan Genesis filled his screen. He stared at it in disbelief. You can't win forever, he whispered. Elena's voice came through the comm. We don't need to win forever, she said. Just long enough to remind the galaxy we are not prey. Then her signal cut off and Titan Genesis turned away. The battle was over. Days later, the Galactic Council gathered to discuss what had happened. Every species in the galaxy listened to the reports in shock. The Orvani Dominion, once unstoppable, had been destroyed in minutes. The data recovered from distant sensors showed three objects the size of planets moving through space. No one could understand how a young species had built them in secret. Some believed Earth had discovered lost alien technology. Others whispered that humans had learned to bend space and time itself. But none of them had proof. The humans offered no explanation. They didn't send demands. They didn't ask for power or territory. They simply rebuilt their colonies, repaired their systems, and remained silent once more. One council ambassador sent a cautious message to Earth, asking for peace and trade. The reply came days later, short and polite. Humanity seeks peace with all who wish it. But peace must be respected. Beyond the edge of the system, the Titans continued their slow orbits. Each was like a sleeping guardian. Their lights dimmed, their weapons silent, but their cores still hummed with quiet power. Humanity returned to its calm, pretending once again to be small and harmless. But deep beneath Earth's surface, far below the oceans and the crust, something stirred. A pulse of energy rippled through the planet's core. In a sealed chamber buried miles underground, ancient machines awakened. The ground trembled slightly as blue light flickered across hidden walls. Dr. Rao stood beside Commander Cross, watching the readings. It's happening, she said softly. The sixth Titan is waking up. Cross didn't move. Her eyes stayed fixed on the screen showing the energy buildup beneath Earth. It's earlier than expected, she murmured. The system must have responded to the battle, Rao replied. The Titans are connected. When one fights, they all feel it. Cross looked thoughtful. Then maybe this is good. Maybe we need the sixth, Rao hesitated. Do you even know what it's built for? We don't have the full records. Elena gave a small smile. No one does. The Eidolon directive was written before both of us were born, but it said one thing. If the sixth awakens, humanity will rise again. I think that's enough for me. Far above them, Titan Genesis orbited quietly, its lights glowing faintly through the dark. Around it, pieces of shattered alien ships drifted like dust. The silence of victory filled the void. Somewhere deep inside the ship, a child born aboard the Titan looked out through a viewing dome. She saw the stars endless and bright and asked her father, "Are they afraid of us now?" Her father smiled gently. "Maybe," he said. "But fear isn't what keeps peace. It's knowing what we can become if we're pushed too far." The girl nodded slowly, her eyes wide with wonder. "Then what are we becoming?" He looked at the glowing blue world far away, Earth, and whispered, "Something new. Something the galaxy will never forget." As the Titans continued their silent watch, the galaxy changed forever. No empire dared invade. No world dared challenge the humans again. Across the stars, every race spoke the same name with awe and caution: the builders of worlds. Humanity had done what no one else had dared. They had turned silence into strength. They had built their hope in the dark and unleashed it only when the light was needed. And deep beneath the earth, the sixth Titan kept waking, its pulse growing stronger each day, waiting for the moment it would rise and join its brothers among the stars. The galaxy had been unaware before, but now every star remembered. Humanity had spoken without words, and the universe had listened.